I'm going to get straight to the point. If you want to stop gambling, here are 4 things that you can do to get clean that you can start right now. The 4 things that I'm going to talk about are based on concepts from 12-step programs, as well as concepts that I've heard from therapists and psychologists. The reason that I'm sharing this is because it's working for me. I'm no expert in anything, let me tell you that. But I'm 11 months clean from my gambling addiction, and I have a lot of information about what's working in my recovery. Maybe it'll work in yours. Give these 4 things a try and see if they are helpful in your life. But just before I dive into there, let me introduce myself. My name is Rob and I'm a recovering compulsive gambler. As mentioned, I made my last bet almost a year ago on November the 12th of 2022. Since then, I've made it my personal mission to help you to recover from a gambling addiction faster than I did if you want to stop. So if that's of interest to you and you want to live a happier and healthier life without the chaos of gambling, smash that subscribe button and stay up to date on the content that I release here. So let's dive into it. The first thing that you can focus on in recovering from a gambling addiction is time. If you were spending the amount of time that I was spending gambling, then you might be guilty of spending between 6 and 8 hours a day placing bets on any given day. And sometimes more than that. Sometimes less, but usually more. And when you quit gambling, now all that time that you would have previously spent gambling needs to be filled with something else. Or you're just sitting around watching the grass grow, waiting for yourself to end up going back to gambling. For me, that was what was missing the first time around in my recovery journey when I started to get real help to try to recover. I was just sitting around bored. I was feeling sorry for myself, depressed, angry, stressed, and bored. Once again, that is a major problem. So, since I started to create these videos and focus on growing myself spiritually, physically, and mentally, then I've actually started to see tangible results in my recovery journey, believe it or not. So, if you were spending 8 hours gambling, find 8 hours worth of things that you care about doing so that you can stop gambling. For me, it's creating these videos, going to the gym, meditating, reading, writing, journaling, playing pickleball, going out with friends, even watching Netflix is a better alternative than sitting around and just waiting for the inevitable urge to hit you to go back to gambling. So think back to what did you like to do before you started to gamble? What did you do for fun? What were your aspirations professionally? And try to fill your time by doing those things. Say, for example, you liked playing basketball with your friends before you started to gamble. Go and play some pickup games. Go join a rec league. Fill your time with something that you know you enjoy doing. Say you've always had this passion to try to make money and you thought that gambling was a great way to do it. Well, it's not, and you can channel that productivity and that energy and that ambition into starting a small business or working on your own side hustle. There's things that you can do with your time that can make you money where you're not risking your happiness, your finances, and your overall health to try to get more. The second thing you can do is to limit your access to the money that might tempt you to go back to gambling. For me, I had my family control my finances when I first got clean from gambling because it was too much of a temptation for me to have access to that money. Once that money was out of sight, out of mind, I just started carrying around cash for my weekly expenses, and my savings gradually began to build up as I wasn't bleeding money because I wasn't gambling it. When I was doing my gambling, most of it was happening online. So having that cash gave me no temptation. It could be different for you, so you would need to strategize your own way of having the money that you need to live, but getting rid of access to the money that is going to be a temptation is a major stepping stone for you. You can end up living a happier life because you're not going to end up blowing through your savings because you can't access it. A great thing to put in the way. Depending on where you live, your bank may also be able to implement transaction blockers, and you can restrict the places where you can deposit and withdraw money. That's also a great alternative, but again, it's going to be up to you individually as to what will work for you. Limit the access though. That's really important. The third thing that you can focus on is limiting your access to the gambling itself. Fill out self-exclusion forms. If you're not familiar with what self-exclusion is, it is basically telling the casino, hey, don't let me play here anymore because it is going to end terribly for me. Please ban me. I'm voluntarily banning myself. And this process is something that you can do on every online casino and every in-person casino. Now, guys, the truth is you're always going to be able to gamble. There's thousands of casinos. There's thousands of places to go. But doing self-exclusions and putting as many obstacles in the way as possible is a great step because it gives you the chance to think about what you're doing before you actually go and do it. If you have to download a VPN in order to gamble, or you have to drive 2 hours out of your way to place a bet, you still might do it, but you're giving yourself that amount of time to think about, hey, is this the right decision? Is this going to lead to anything positive for me? Or am I just going to end up screwing myself over and ending up on the same hamster wheel again and again? It's a step in the right direction to put as much distance between you and the bet as possible. The fourth and final thing that you can focus on is to start to attend group meetings for a gambling addiction. It doesn't sound tempting. No one wants to admit that they have a problem, and not a lot of people want to seek help externally to themselves. But there is so much power, and it's really hard to capture how much power it actually is in talking to other people about this issue that can understand you. Depending on who you are, depending on who's in your family, sometimes people just don't understand gambling addiction. And you might feel like you're completely alone and that everyone that you talk to just says something like, why didn't you just stop? Why couldn't you just stop? And until you go to a group meeting like that, you might feel like you're the only gambling addict in the world, but that's just not true. There's millions of people out there that are struggling with this issue right now. And if you go to a meeting, you're going to find a support group of people who actually understand your twisted way of thinking. And when that happens, you can learn what strategies they're using in their recovery and try them in your journey the same way that I'm trying to do for you right now. But again, I'm 24. You might be 28. You might be 35. You might be 50, 60. What works for me might not work for you. But if you go to a meeting like that, you'll find someone in that room who you can relate to. And that person that you can relate to can offer you some valid advice for how to use their experiences to better inform your own. And it sounds corny, guys, but there is power in storytelling and there is power in understanding that you're not the only one on the earth that's struggling with this problem. I cannot recommend highly enough how important it is to go to group meetings. So just to summarize, the 4 things that you can work on are time, money, access, and meetings. Find things to do with your time. Limit your access to the money that's going to tempt you. Limit your access to the casinos and find a support group of people who truly understand you and can provide valuable insights on your recovery journey. And if you're looking to get started in your recovery journey, but you're not quite sure where to start, check out the description below. I put a link for a free PDF guide filled with resources to help you to get clean from gambling starting today. And if you want to support my channel, please drop a like on this video, share this with anyone that you think would benefit from what we talked about today. I know that we can all keep living a happier and healthier life, and we can all keep recovering from a gambling addiction, but all of that's going to happen one day at a time.